Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good day. In this video, I'll be ranking the best Act 1 items in Baldur's Gate 3 on a tier list. So I'll be breaking down the benefits of these items, where they're best used, and ranking them on the tier list. So the first one we'll be starting off with is the Warped Headband of Intellect. Now, this is an extremely useful item for a variety of different classes and subclasses. What it does is it sets your intelligence score to 17, which is effectively a 16 score, giving a +3 to intelligence checks and for spellcasting. Where this performs best: the Arcane Trickster Rogue, the Eldritch Knight Fighter, both of them require intelligence for a bit of casting. However, they do require other stats. In the case of the Eldritch Knight, it's nice to have Strength, Dexterity, and Constitution, allowing you to dump your intelligence and then get a 16 score in intelligence. Another really useful way to use this item is if you, let's say, took 11 levels of the Sorcerer and took a single level dip in the Wizard. This will allow you to prepare 4 Wizard spells. Now, what's also nice about that is if you don't want to use them for spells, the thing is you can also scribe like Scrolls of Elementals, Globe of Invulnerability. There's a lot of spells that don't require your intelligence score to be high, so you don't have to like get Chain Lightning or Odaluk's Freezing Sphere or any of those wizard spells. You can literally use the ones that don't require you to have a decent intelligence, or you can pair this with the Gloves of the Battle Mage's Power, which is fixed in patch 8 to give yourself a +10 to your Arcane Acuity, allowing you to spellcast with a much higher success rate. The Warped Headband of Intellect is very useful, and for that reason, I'm going to have to put this one up into the high A tier. I'm actually thinking S tier because there's so many ways to make this work well. A lot of classes that are full casters benefit from a wizard dip. So if you're taking, let's say, a cleric as well, you could do 11 levels of the cleric, take a single level of the wizard. This allows you to scribe things like, again, Chain Lightning with a Tempest cleric, which is crazy because the Tempest cleric can roll max damage on their lightning-based attacks. There's so many ways to make this a very useful item. Any of the items that change your stats are usually really good, and this is one that you can get literally right at the start of the game. So for that reason, I have to put this up into the S tier. Next, we got the Diadem of Arcane Synergy. Now, there's also the Ring of Arcane Synergy as well. This is a very similar item. I'm going to kind of talk about both of these here. So whenever you deal damage with the cantrip, you gain Arcane Synergy for 2 turns. And when you inflict a condition, you gain Arcane Synergy for 2 turns. So Arcane Synergy adds your spellcasting modifier to your weapon damage. So let's say you're a paladin with 20 charisma. This will allow you to add additional 5 to your weapon attacks. So that's really good. Both of these items are easy to proc. Now, inflicting a condition, Booming Blade counts as a condition, so you can apply that using the new Booming Blade cantrip, which is perfect. But also, if you take the Illithid ability Drain, that's a condition, and you can use that just by doing a melee attack. So this is great on any type of character that kind of multi-classes or uses both spellcasting and melee attacks. The Blade Singing Wizard, perfect for them. The Hexblade Warlock, also perfect for them. Getting your intelligence or getting your spellcasting modifier added to weapon damage is pretty nice. It's not as good as some of the others on this list, so I'm going to have to say that this is probably like a high B tier. Might even just put it in the A tier because this is great for if you have like a Hexblade Warlock, a Blade Singing Wizard, Paladin, you name it. Anything that spellcasts and does melee attacks is going to benefit greatly from this item. And the Ring of Arcane Synergy obviously being a very useful item as well. But next we got the Gloves of the Growling Underdog. So this is a really good item all the way to the end of the game, because when you're surrounded by 2 or more foes, which is extremely often. If you play Baldur's Gate 3, your melee attackers are likely going to have 2 enemies around them most of the time. This gives melee attacks advantage, which is crazy because advantage basically means that you're extremely likely to hit. It also gives a +1 to strength saving throws, which is nice. This goes extremely well on a fighter, a barbarian, anyone that gets up in the face of fighters, because yeah, you're going to get advantage on pretty much all your weapon attack rolls. Advantage is super useful. It turns, if you have a 95% hit chance, it turns into a 99. You're extremely likely to hit with something like the Gloves of the Growling Underdog. This item is very underrated. So yeah, for how early on you get this in the game, it can last on your characters until the end game. And for that, I'd have to say it's probably another A tier item. I'm picking a lot of the best items, so I'm going to try and keep this list as balanced as possible, but this is just super useful. Advantage on attacks is useful for pretty much everybody that's melee focused. But we got ourselves next the Boots of Stormy Clamour. Now this item is great, especially paired with another item that we have on list, the Gloves of the Belligerent Skies, because with the Boots of Stormy Clamour, you can, whenever you inflict a condition, as I mentioned earlier, ability drain from the Illithid abilities counts as a condition. Booming Blade counts as a condition. You stack 2 turns of reverberation. And if you don't know what reverberation does, it makes it so that every stack you apply on a target gives a -1 to their strength, dexterity, and constitution saving throws, which is very useful. So if you throw fireballs, they're much more likely to land. However, once you hit 5 stacks, it does a check and can knock the target prone. What's cool about that is they also take thunder damage. And with the Gloves of the Belligerent Skies, whenever you trigger that, it actually stacks 2 more turns of reverberation. So you typically want to use both of these items together, and reverberation is super useful. So yeah, the Boots of Stormy Clamour are great, but I think the Gloves of the Belligerent Skies are a little bit better. So for that, I'm going to put this one into the B tier. Very useful though. You can use this in the end game. If you got a build that's focused on reverberation, super useful for setting up your spellcasters to land their fireballs and lightning bolts more frequently. So that's good. Next, we got the Staff of Arcane Blessing. This is a crazy item. This is the only way to get spell attack rolls an additional 2d4. So basically, it gives you Bless, but with that Bless, it also has a little bonus here too. So with this, it gives a 2d4 bonus to your spell attack rolls, which it's not possible to get that special Bless elsewhere. So you can see there, 1d4 to saving throws and weapon attack rolls, an additional 2d4 to spell attack rolls. So yeah. This is crazy good. Great on a caster, great on your Shadowheart that misses all of her attacks. A 2d4 is huge for spells, especially in the early-ish game that you get this in. It's in Act 1 Underdark. I highly recommend grabbing the Staff. The Staff of Arcane Blessing is just seriously so good. You're going to use this on your clerics or any type of like spellcaster that needs that big benefit. Bless is something you can use to the end game because that 1d4 to saving throws and weapon attack rolls is really nice. But the 2d4 to spell attack rolls is great. If you have a team with 3 casters, like I have a Hexblade Warlock, a Shadow Sorcerer, and a Blade Singing Wizard. All 3 of them now have an additional 2d4 to their spell casting, which is just crazy. So yeah, this item is good enough to be put into the S tier. And it's a Mistress Staff. A lot of people underrate this item. I've talked good about it before, and people are like, man, spell attack rolls, who needs a 2d4? 2d4 is a lot, guys. Especially in the early game when people meme about Shadowheart not hitting any of her attacks. This helps. And next we got the Wondrous Gloves. Now the Wondrous Gloves are a bard specific item. However, you can throw this on anyone because it gives an additional 1 armor class. That's good in the early game. +1 to AC is just going to help out with not getting hit as often. But it's also great if you have a bard because it gives them another bardic inspiration, which means they can do more flourishes if you have a sword bard. So that in itself is really nice. But for even just a regular old caster, getting a +1 to AC is probably better than a lot of the other benefits here. So yeah, armor class is always a nice thing to have. Gives you a bit more survivability in the early game. So yeah, I'd have to say that the Wondrous Gloves are probably like they're good. I put them in the B tier. I wouldn't say they're as good as some of the other benefits here. So yeah, with like the Diadem of Arcane Synergy, if you have a Hexblade Warlock Paladin kind of combo, you can get an extra 15 damage per 1 action. So that's really good. Whereas this just gives 1 AC. Still good, but there's better items here. Like the Disintegrating Nightwalkers. Now, the Disintegrating Nightwalkers, I like to have them on any type of frontliner because you can't be enwebbed, entangled, or ensnared and can't slip on grease or ice. This is huge if you have a team focused around spellcasting like I do. 3 casters, 1 Karlach the Barbarian. This is awesome because she won't be slipping on the ice where the enemies will be. And also you get a free Misty Step, which is extremely valuable on any type of like close range melee combatant. Being able to get away from combat and also get into a combat as a bonus action is really good. If you're finding you don't have a lot of mobility, try putting on Crusher's Ring as well. Crusher's Ring is really nice for the +3 movements, but also this for Misty Step is a lot better. Can't be webbed, entangled, ensnared, and can't slow on ice. This is an item you can use to the end of the game because, again, Misty Step being such a valuable item, I'd have to say that this is also an item that we can put high A tier to maybe even, this might even be, yeah, I might just put it, yeah, this is a tough one. It's probably the best boots in Act 1. We'll throw it in the S tier. I did choose a lot of really good items here, like the Luminous Armor, which is next. Now, the Luminous Armor is awesome for a few major reasons. If you're going with a Radiating Orb build, this is going to be the absolute best in slot because it gives you 15 AC, which is decent. It's a medium armor, so that gives you a +2 to your dexterity, so it's like 17 armor class right there. But when the wearer deals radiant damage, they cause a radiant shockwave. What's a radiant shockwave, you may ask? I'm glad you asked. It's similar to Radiating Orbs, but it does it in a 3-meter radius. So there's lots of gear that'll apply Radiating Orbs, This does it in a radius, and it depends how you use. If you use like Sacred Flame, for example, it's going to do it in that 3-meter radius from there. But if you use Sunbeam, it's going to be wherever you click that. So this is really, really useful because Radiating Orb builds rely on this armor, obviously, and there's a lot of other pieces that you can put together to apply even further Radiating Orbs. Radiating Orbs give a -1 to attack rolls. They can stack up to 10 times. If an enemy has a -10 to their attack rolls, they're going to have a really hard time hitting you. So that is huge. It's a great for a best in slot item for a light cleric, and light clerics are, I like Tempest better, but the light cleric is tied for first, I would say, in the best. It's more defensive than the Tempest cleric, but if you're looking for a cleric that can keep your team alive, this is the armor to use. Also, it looks pretty nice too. So this is what it looks like. If you dye this, it looks just beautiful. Like there's some blue dye. And the Monitor dye here from Favoring Colors makes it look like that, which is super sleek. Yeah, it's drippy armor, but that's besides the point. It's very useful. And for that, I'd have to say that this item probably belongs in high. Yeah, I'm going to put it the S tier again. Maybe move one of these. It's hard to say. All of these items bring huge benefits to the game that can last all the way through. If you're doing a Radiating Orb build, this is the way to go for that. Yeah, high A tier to S tier. It doesn't have the highest armor class, but for a light cleric, it's the best in slot. Probably S to A tier, high A tier. Next, we got Phalar Aluve, which is another crazy weapon. Now, what makes Phalar Aluve so good is it's got the singing song. So the singing song basically makes it so that you can boost your teammates with a 1d4 bonus to attack rolls and charisma, wisdom, and intelligence saving throws. In addition to this, it also has a shriek, which is the better of them. It gives like the opposite, a 1d4 penalty to the enemy's charisma, wisdom, and intelligence saving throws, so you can land things like hold person more freely or command. But the other big benefit is affected creatures receive an additional 1d4 of thunder damage. This is big because thunder damage means that you can apply things like magic missile and it'll stack a bunch of different damage on top of that. Scorching ray, yeah, it just becomes really unstoppable. So this is great for supporting your casters, great for if you have a melee attacker. Hex will also stack that, so if you have your warlock applied Hex on a target, they go in and attack the target, it'll receive additional thunder and that necrotic damage. Phalar Aluve has got to be one of the best, if not the best longsword in the game. I'm a massive fan of it, and it's also just great on a blade singing wizard as well. I feel like it's the thematic right choice for their weapon. So yeah, Sword Dancer of Eyeless Tribe, perfect for that as well. So yeah, you can find this easily in Act 1. It's actually one of the first weapons you can run to and grab if you wanted to. So yeah, with that, I'd hate to put another weapon in the S tier. This is just the best weapon in the long swords. Laurentian's Wrath is another long sword that's also finesse. That's another point that I want to make about this weapon. It's a finesse weapon, so if you want a sneak attack weapon, there you go. And on top of that, it's also great because it uses dexterity. If you wanted to go all in on your dexterity, like a blade singing wizard with high dex and intelligence, you can roll with this. So yeah, it's very useful. And next, we got ourselves the Ring of Flinging. Now, the Ring of Flinging is actually upgraded in its rarity when you get to Honor mode. So instead of being a uncommon item, it's now rare, gets blue rarity. So this adds a 1d4 bonus to throw damage. It's great. You have to use a thrower to get any benefit from this. So I'm just going to put it at that. The next item actually on this list, besides this, is the Returning Pike. So these two go in tandem with each other. Basically, the Returning Pike also got its rarity increased in Honor mode. So this item, both of these are green in normal mode, but blue in Honor mode. And that just goes to show how good they are. I'll get to the Returning Pike in a moment, but this adds a 1d4 bonus to throw damage. That's really good if you're using a thrower. To everyone else, if you don't like throwing builds, I know a lot of people don't like throwing builds, so I'm just going to kind of put this out there. Don't use this ring. It's only good for throwing. So, yeah. S tier on a thrower. Everybody else, it's B tier. I love the ring though, but again, it's very limited to what it can do. Does have a blue rarity, and I love throwing builds. I just know a lot of people hate them, so if I put this any higher than B tier, I know I'd get some people upset with that. So I'm just going to put it there because it's limited in its use to only being a throwing weapon. Same as the Returning Pike. So this weapon will return to its owner when thrown. You can get this from the Goblin Camp. You can get it really early in the game. Once you hit level 4, you should have this on your Tavern Brawler thrower. If you have a Throw Zerker or a Giant Barbarian, this is probably their best item in Act 1 because it returns your hand. Nyrulna will be the best item for a thrower at the end game, but this is still really good because yeah, you can also, if you wanted to use a different weapon and then throw this weapon, so let's say you have like the Monster Slayer glaive, and then you throw this weapon, it'll return your hand, so then you can swap weapons freely. So a nice little bonus there. Again, this is limited to throwing only, so I'm going to throw it into the B tier because yeah, it's S tier if you're a thrower, B tier otherwise. It could even be like C tier. I'm just going to leave in the B tier there. I again only picked the best items here, so there's not a lot that are going to be bad per se. And next we have the Abyss Beckoners. This is an interesting item. Demon Spirit Aura. So the wearers summon creatures have resistance to all damage except psychic damage. So they take half damage from every source. At the start of the summoned creature's turn, it must succeed a wisdom saving throw or be driven mad. This is scary because if they go mad, they start attacking you. Where this is most beneficial is if you make it all the way to Act 3 and you use the Necromancy of Fae and you get the Danse Macabre, which basically is 4 flying ghouls. They're resistant to be driven mad, so you can use this and they get a massive buff. That puts this in the S tier for a summoner, a necrotic necromancer, any type of that summoning kind of build. However, it's high risk, so yeah, I'm actually going to put this into the C tier. It's very specific in where you can use it, but it's too much of a risk, especially in honor mode, to reliably use it. Next, we got one of the best in slot bows with the Titanstring Bow. This adds your strength modifier to the damage, and that works if you use arrow from many targets. It's crazy. You can only imagine if you have the strength potion that adds a +8 to your strength modifier, that's an extra +8 on every single arrow that's hitting multiple targets. It's really, really good. Yeah, you've heard it to death. The Titanstring Bow is really nice. So yeah, this is another S tier choice. So yeah, we're throwing that up there. Next, we got the Knife of the Undermountain King. Now, I really like the Knife of the Undermountain King. What this does is it gives you the Organ Rearranger, which gives you an increased critical hit chance by 5% and can stack. So you can put this in the offhand and you get a nice benefit. And when you roll 2 damage or less, you re-roll the die, taking the highest result. So yeah, flat out increasing your damage there. In addition, it has the Shadow Blade ability, which is also on the Shadow Blade spell weapon that you can get. So you have advantage on attack rolls against lightly or heavily obscured targets while using this blade. The thing is, it's very generous in what it considers to be lightly obscured. You can see here, this is light obscured. We're standing beside Gale in his camp. Yeah, slight shadow. If we were standing right in this patch of light, it wouldn't count. But yeah, lightly obscured means a lot of different areas. So yeah, it gets crazy. The other big benefit of that weapon is obviously the critical hit chance, but yeah, it's easily obtainable in the Githyanki Crash. This item is another one that I really want to put in the S tier, but it does, yeah, you can throw this in the offhand of a lot of characters and it would bring a huge benefit to them. I'm just going to put it in the A tier. It could be an S tier item, just the Shadow Blade's really good. And you can also get that advantage on attack rolls if you put it in your offhand and use your main hand for attack. So this is probably the best. I don't want to throw everything in the S tier, but this is, yeah, I'm going to put this up here actually, because yeah, it brings so many benefits to you, that a critical hit chance, better advantage. Yeah, it's good. Next, we got ourselves the Whispering Promise. So this is a ring that gives you bless when you heal a target. Pairs well with the Amulet of Restoration you can get in Act 1, because that can do mass healing word to apply heals to your entire team, blessing your entire team in Act 1. Really good. Also, if you play a cleric, obviously the best in slot. Easy to obtain. Volo has it. And this is super useful for a lot of reasons. You can use this all the way to the end game. And it also pairs well if you have the Hellrider's Pride, which gives you Blade Ward on a target that you healed. So this gives them half physical damage. It also works well with the Boots of Aid and Comfort. Whenever you heal a target, they get 3 temporary health. And then also the Wapira's Crown. When you heal another, the wearer regains 1 to 6 health points. So yeah, on a cleric, indispensable item. This is super useful to have. So yeah, I'm going to say Whispering Promise is a tier item. It's really good. And next we got the Ring of Protection. Now what's cool about the Ring of Protection is if you've played Baldur's, or if you play D&D, this is the most common item in D&D. It's the rarest ring, or one of the rarest rings in Baldur's Gate 3. +1 armor class, +1 to saving throws. Very nice. Straightforward, better survivability. You have to go through a Mole's quest, and I do have a video on how to do that if you missed it before, because it is kind of easy to miss and mess it up. But it's a very useful ring to have. Better survivability. So for that, I'm going to put this one in probably like the high B to A tier. +1 AC is just really good for a ring slot. I'm actually just going to put maybe top of the B tier. Yeah, same thing as the gloves that added 1 to the armor class. It's great, but there's probably better for your class out there. Next, we got the Mourning Frost. I really like the Mourning Frost. This is one of my favorite weapons in the game. Basically, what it does is it gives you an additional 1 cold damage when you attack, and when dealing cold damage with a spell, possibly inflict chilled on the target. Chilled means that you do double cold damage to the target. It's huge. Your water elementals will also do chilled on their main attack, and then you can also stack this with the Winter's Clutches gloves, which stacks encrusted with frost on the target, and then you can freeze the target, which makes them take double bludgeoning force and thunder damage. A lot of cool combinations. It also gives you Ray of Frost, and the biggest benefit to this Ray of Frost is it actually uses your spell attack roll. So most spells that you get in extra cantrip, like for this one, you can see there it uses intelligence. Besides the attack roll at the bottom there, this is intelligence. This one just uses whatever, like if you are a charisma caster, it's charisma based. If you're a druid, it's going to use your wisdom. So very, very nice cantrip, and yeah, it brings a lot of benefits. Pretty, not the hardest thing to get. I also have a video on how to get that if you're curious. I would have to say Mourning Frost is definitely A tier. Top of the A tier, could be S tier. I love cold casters. I want to put in the S tier. I just don't want this whole list to be S tier. And next we got the Blood of Lathander. So this is a very essential item for when you get to Act 3 or Act 2, because there's a lot of things that are vulnerable to the Sunbeam spell that you get. But once per long rest, when your hit points reduce to 0, you stand back up with 2d6 of health, and then all your allies are recovering 1d6 of health. It also does light in a 6-meter radius, and fiends and undead standing in light are blinded unless they succeed on a Constitution saving throw. Blinding is huge because then you get a advantage on attack, they get disadvantage on their attacks. Weapon enhancement +3, nice to have this early on in the game. And you also get Sunbeam, which is a very nice spell because yeah, you can hit a lot of people really easily with Sunbeam because it's got this huge line. You can't recast it, but yeah, you can see there, large area of effect. If you line this up really well, you can take out a lot of people. It is really good. I do want to put it in the S tier, but once you get to Act 3, you will be using other items, whereas things like the Intelligence Circlet, Mistress Blessing, Disintegrating Nightwalkers, Titanstring Bow, the Knife of the Undermountain King, these are all usable at the end of the game. With this, you're probably gonna use it for Act 1, the end of Act 1 into Act 2. Once you get to Act 3, you're likely going to swap this off. So for that, I would say probably put it around A tier, right around there. It's good, but not as good as this little piece of wood. So this is the Club of Hill Giant Strength. What makes a Club of Hill Giant Strength so good is we can do a little cheesy cheese technique here. So let's say we got Karlak here, and she's holding salami in her main hand, and then in her offhand she has the Club of Hill Giant Strength. We can cheese this. If you're a monk, you can get a free 19 to your strength by doing a little switcheroo here. So you can just go whoop whoop, and I guess I didn't do that correctly. So you take the main hand weapon, you give it to somebody else, boom, now you have it in your offhand. And the beautiful thing about that is it's going to set your strength to 19, and then you can use your unarmed strikes. So yeah, this is really good for a monk that doesn't want to invest in monk potions in the early game. Probably the best way to play a monk actually is to do this little trick to put it in your offhand, keeping your punches. Since it's light, you can do that. It also used to only be 15 strength. They actually buffed it up after its release. So thank you, Larian. This is a great item. The Club of Hill Giant Strength, it's outclassed by strength potions. Obviously, strength potions are just going to give that extra +5 instead of +4. But on the other side, there's a lot of people that hate using strength potions. I hear those comments all the time. So this is perfect for those that don't use strength potions but want all the benefits of dumping their strength. I'd have to put that into the A tier, somewhere around there. It's great. Could be S tier, but I think that the other items are a little bit better, and there's other strength-based items. There's many of them in the game, actually, whereas there's only one Intelligence Circlet. And now we have the Adamantine Shield and the Adamantine Scale Mail. I think there's a lot of them. Again, there's 200 items, almost 300 items in Act 1. I can't cover every single one of these in this video, because most of them are just D tier. Pretty much every uncommon item is going to be D tier unless it's covered in this list. The Adamantine Shield here gives a +2 to armor class. When an attacker misses you, not hits, misses you, they go reeling for 2 turns, which gives -2 to their attack rolls. So if they miss you, they're going to miss you again. Shield Bash, and you can't get critically hit. Very, very good. You can use this to the end game. The Adamantine Shield is super useful for that. I'd have to say, I'm going to put it probably A tier. There are some better shields later on, but this one's still really nice. Same with the Adamantine Armor. So with this, what's greatest about it, it's 16 armor class, all incoming damage reduced by 1. When an attacker hits you, it's sent reeling for 2 turns. Pairing this with the shield, if a target hits you or misses you, they're going to get a -2 to their attack rolls. Disadvantage on stealth checks, so for medium armor, you might not want to be stealthy with this one, and you can't be critically hit. +2 for your dexterity modifier. It makes it equal to the heavy armor if you have at least a 14 dexterity, so that is great. I'd recommend going with the medium armor over to heavy. The medium armor and the shield are, I think, the two best of these, so yeah, this one is another one that I'd probably say somewhere's around the A tier, somewhere's here. They're great. Gloves of the Belligerent Skies. Now, this is an item that is very useful for a lot of reasons. When the wielder deals thunder, lightning, or radiant damage, inflict 2 turns of reverberation. So it goes good with if you had a reverberate, or if you want to do reverberation alongside radiating orbs, because radiant damage will apply both of those. That's great. What's also cool, as I mentioned, if you stack 5 stacks of them, the target takes a 1d4 of thunder damage. That 1d4 of thunder damage actually applies the 2 stacks of reverberation again. So for that, it makes it a little bit better in the boots of Stormy Clamour. Only applicable to, only really good if you're using a reverberation build. So yeah, I like it a lot, but I'm just going to put it into the B tier. It's better in boots of Stormy Clamour. And next we got the Caustic Band. Now this item got upgraded to very rare. It's normally just an uncommon item in Tactician or in Explorer mode. But in Honor mode, it becomes very rare. Your weapon attacks also deal 2 acid damage. What's cool about this is some attack don't apply to throwing. This actually applies to throwing weapons. So if you have a throw Zerker, +2 on their damage with the already crazy benefits you get from being a throw Zerker. So the Caustic Band is very good. There's a reason that it got upgraded in its rarity in Honor mode, just because of that extra damage. And it works on everything but unarmed strike. So if you're a monk, use something else. But yeah, it's really good. So I'm going to put it probably in the A tier, somewhere's there. Additional 2 damage. It's good. Maybe even top of the B tier. Yeah, we'll put her there. And next we got the Mask of the Shapeshifter, which basically what this does is it makes it so that you can get a shapeshift spell. So with shapeshift, you can basically use this to turn yourself into a Githyanki or a Drow. You have all these different choices to shapeshift into. The biggest ones being if you're able to steal the Act 1 Silver Sword of the Astral Plane, you can turn into a Gith, get the benefits from the Gith. Also, there's lots of unique Drow options for dialogue, and if you shapeshift into a Drow, you get all of them. So yeah, this item is from the yeah, it's hard to, this is technically S tier because you can equip this, shapeshift, unequip it. I'm just gonna put it in the B tier though, just because otherwise this list is long and you're not gonna bring this into combat, so it's really useful though. And finally, the Gloves of Dexterity. Had to save the best for last here. So what do the Gloves of Dexterity do? Well, they give you 18 dexterity, and that's huge because that gives a +4, and that's a nice boost to your armor class. For most classes, that's going to be huge. It also gives a +1 to attack. Now, a little special note here, that +1 actually counts on spell attack rolls too, for some reason. So this is great for spellcasters, this is great for melee attackers, anyone that needs to dump dexterity. You can use this on every single class in the game and get a good benefit from it. So yeah, Gloves of Dexterity, it's hard not to say that they're a S tier choice. So yeah, we're going to put that there. Now our final list looks something like this. Obviously I picked the best items, so this is going to skew a little heavier to the top. I always try to balance them around the B tier, but I didn't pick many of the bad items in the game, like just to kind of go over some of the like not great items. Amulet of Sylvanas, Lesser Restoration spell. This is actually a pretty decent one too. The Necklace of Elemental Augmentation. When you cantrip deal damage, you add your spellcasting modifier to the damage. That's pretty good. Hand crossbows. Amulet of Misty Steps, also a pretty useful item. I didn't want to make this video like a very long because it would be like a few hours if I covered every single item. Like the Blooded Great Axe is nice, gives additional damage, but that's probably like a C tier. And then you got like your crossbows here, like the Giant Breaker, sends the target reeling for 2 turns. Herald. Some of these are good, but yeah, there's so many items in Act 1 to cover. I just want to pick some of the best here to cover. So yeah, the Intelligence Circlet, greatest for spellcasters that want a multi-class. Mistress Staff, 2d4 bonus to spell attack rolls. That's amazing. Disintegrating Naywalkers, can't slip an ice, teleport, boom. Titanstring Bow, big damage numbers, we like that. The Knife of the Undermountain King, great for critical hit boosting and getting advantage on your attacks, which also makes you roll 2 dice, so it's double the critical hit chance. Phalar Aluve, Shrieking Song, very, very effective, and the Gloves of Dexterity. So The Mourning Frost, Luminous Armor could also sneak their way up into the S tier as well. But again, I just didn't want to make the S tier the biggest tier, so I'm gonna try to balance this obviously as best as possible. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you think is the best Act 1 item. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video.